Blessings for obedience and curses for disobedience. One of the most striking passages is Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord will bring you back in ships to Egypt, a journey I promise you should never make again. There you shall offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you. Being taken in ships sounds eerily similar to being sold into slavery. Black people have faced centuries of forced servitude. No buyer could signify that even after slavery, oppression and discrimination continued. Many scholars debate whether this passage directly refers to the transatlantic slave trade. However, one thing is clear. The struggles described in this chapter bear a striking resemblance to what black people have endured throughout history. Biblical warnings about oppression. God repeatedly warns his people against oppression and mistreatment. Psalm 100:3-6. The Lord works righteousness and justice for all the oppressed. Proverbs 22:16. Whoever oppresses the poor to increase his own wealth will only come to poverty. Isaiah 1:17. Learn to do right. Seek justice. Defend the oppressed. No matter how much injustice black people have faced throughout history, the Bible makes it clear God is not blind to suffering. He sees, he hears, and he will bring justice in his perfect timing. From suffering to redemption, the struggles black people have endured, from slavery to segregation, from colonialism to racism, are painful and undeniable. However, the Bible also reminds us that redemption is possible. Suffering is not the final chapter in the story. In Exodus, God delivered the Israelites from Egypt. In the book of Judges, he repeatedly rescued his people from oppression. In the New Testament, Jesus came to set the captives free. God is a God of justice, and no oppression lasts forever. The struggles of black people have been seen by God, and his plan has always been one of deliverance, restoration, and healing. Fact 6. God's plan for all nations includes black people. One of the greatest lies ever told is that Christianity is a white man's religion. Nothing could be further from the truth. Black people have been part of God's plan from the very beginning, and the Bible clearly states that his kingdom is for all people. Acts 17:26 declares, from one blood he made all nations that they should inhabit the whole earth. This verse is powerful because it reminds us that no matter where we come from, we are all connected. There is no superior or inferior race, only God's creation. The role of black people in the early church. Many people are unaware that some of the earliest Christian churches were in Africa. Acts 13:01 mentions a man named Simeon called Niger, which means black. He was one of the prophets and teachers in the early church. The church in Alexandria, Egypt, was one of the most influential Christian centers in the world. Augustine of Hippo, one of the most renowned church fathers, was an African man whose writings shaped Christian theology for centuries. The idea that Christianity was introduced to black people through colonization is entirely false. The truth is, Africa was one of the first places to receive the gospel, and black people have been part of the faith since the very beginning. The diversity of heaven. One of the most beautiful images in the Bible is found in Revelation 7:9. After this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. Why does this matter? Because it affirms that black people are not an afterthought in God's kingdom. We have always been a part of his divine plan. If you have ever felt that Christianity does not include you, or if you have been told that your faith is borrowed from someone else, know this: you are a part of God's divine design, and nothing can change that. Fact 7. Black people have a divine heritage and purpose. If there is one thing to take away from this, let it be this: You are not a mistake. You are not forgotten. You are part of God's divine plan. Too often, black history is told only through the lens of struggle, slavery, oppression, and suffering. But the truth is, black people have always been part of something greater. From the very beginning, God has had a divine purpose for black people, and that purpose is still unfolding today. A rich spiritual heritage. We have already seen that Africa played a central role in the Bible and that many biblical figures were black. But what is even more powerful is how God used black people to shape the faith. Ethiopian Christians were among the first to follow Jesus. The African church produced some of the greatest Christian thinkers, like Augustine. Black believers throughout history have stood strong in their faith, even in the face of persecution. Christianity is not just a part of black history. Black history is part of Christianity. God's calling for black people to... History did not end with the Bible. God is still using black people to do incredible things for his kingdom. Black missionaries are spreading the gospel across the world. Black pastors and leaders are transforming communities. Black Christians are worshiping, praying, and standing firm in faith, just like the believers in Scripture. No matter what the world says, your heritage is one of strength, faith, and purpose. You are chosen. The world may try to define you by race, nationality, or history, but God defines you by his calling. 1 Peter 2:9 declares, "But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light." This means you are not forgotten, you are not cursed, you are not less than anyone else. You are chosen. Walk in your divine identity. For too long, the truth about black people in the Bible has been overlooked, but now the truth is clear. God's plan has always included you. This is not just about history, it is about identity. When you understand who you are in God's eyes, no lie, no oppression, and no false teaching can shake you. You are not an afterthought. You are not forgotten. You are chosen, called, and created for a purpose. God never makes mistakes. Everything he does is intentional. The struggles of the past do not define you. God does. He has placed greatness inside of you, and he is still writing your story. So now the question is, what will you do with this truth? Will you let the world tell you who you are? Or will you stand firm in what God says about you? Will you stay silent? Or will you share this truth with others? It is time to step into your divine identity. Walk boldly, speak truth, live with purpose, because God's plan for you is bigger than anything the world could ever imagine.